I went in for my usual medium wash Guatemalan, if I remember correctly. But the owner of the roastery gave me different options to choose from. I was thinking, should I change it up? Why not? I've been drinking this coffee for a long time. It was good, it was decent, best that I've tasted yet. But he told me about this other coffee, this Jamaican coffee, this Blue Mountain coffee. I was like, what is that? Sort of, what is that? I kind of knew about it. I saw the tasting notes. It seemed kind of intriguing, but at at the time, 12, 13, 14 bucks a pound, or even less than that. I was like, nah, that's too rich for me. But he kind of promoted and sold it. So I didn't get the full pound. I just got just enough just to taste it right. This is already cracked out on coffee. So I got some of the Blue Mountain and something else. I can't remember what else. Doesn't really matter, especially for this type of story. So got home, started researching it, started thinking about how I was going to brew it and all that stuff. I think at the time I was using the French press. And yeah, and I think that's when I started to delve into pour over like the Hario V60 and the Chemex. So I went ahead and took a little bit, put on some hot water, and then it was time to drink the coffee. I wanted to experience this coffee particularly black. I was going back and forth between creamer and no creamer, half and half, making my own, putting some sugar in, drinking it black. I was teetoing back and forth between which way I was supposed to drink coffee, right? So this time I wanted to drink it black. I wanted to experience it for its purity, right? That's what all these coffee nerds and geeks tell you that you should do. So that's what I did. I sat down like I'm sitting down right now, and I took a sip. And I stopped and I wondered. I'm like, wow, this is expensive. But something about it is appealing. Something about it, I'm really just kind of having mixed opinions about it. So I kept sipping, and kept sipping, kept drinking, kept thinking, kept contemplating about what is up with this coffee. And then I finally finished the coffee. And I sat there for a little bit wondering, what the hell did I just drink? It was spectacular. It was, I wouldn't say bold because it wasn't a dark roast. It was extremely smooth. But it was kind of boring. Let me explain. So, this coffee has been hyped up so much for me for a very long time. I knew what it was. You know, I kind of gathered that it was going to blow my mind, which it kind of mostly did. And it was something that I've never really experienced before. Sorta. The reason why I'm saying that is because I've had coffee before. I've had coffee from Central and South America, from Africa, you know. But this coffee in particular spoke to me a little differently. So what I mean by that is that the coffee it resembled a lot of the coffees that I've already drinking, but it was smooth as buttery as can be. It really didn't have any like deficiencies, defects whatsoever. When you drink it, it was so smooth. Ironically speaking, it reminded me of a very high-end diner coffee. And now that I think about it, it reminded me of a typical Brazilian or South American coffee that's just chocolatey, just nutty. It didn't have the nuts in there, but it had more of a chocolatey type of smoothness to it. But it was soulless because that's all it was. As pure as it was, it really didn't do anything for me. At the time, it did because I paid so much money for this coffee. And as I was drinking it and experienced it for myself, I was actually able to taste all the tasty notes from the bag. Probably because it's not that many things to actually taste from this coffee. I'm not trying to dig it. I'm really not trying to dig it here and there as I talk to you about this. I guess what I'm saying is that I understand now, over 10 plus years, why I haven't gotten the Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee since then. A lot of times people don't even talk about that coffee. One, because it's very elusive, it's very expensive, and it's not interesting enough. It doesn't drive you to a place of wonder, of wanting to try to do something with coffee. If that makes sense. Because, sometimes we glorify coffee to the point to where we think it's just the shit. It is the shit. It really is cool. But sometimes we want it to be bigger than what it truly really is. And a lot of times, whenever I'm drinking this particular coffee, it was a letdown because I can get most of those coffee traits from other cheaper coffees, from other coffees that are probably a little bit more than 1 to 2 notes. A coffee that probably sings to me a little bit better, something that I look forward to drinking each and every day. But paying that much money for this particular coffee, it doesn't do anything for me. And again, this is not a dig towards the coffee, really. It's just more so kind of giving you an understanding of the Blue Mountain coffee if you haven't tried it. I would say you should try it. See how it is now. See if it piques your interest. See if it's exactly the coffee that you need. I know there's plenty of people that are out there that only swear by this particular coffee. I think it's pretty cool from time to time. But as you see, my time was 10 plus years ago. And I haven't really talked about it or bought it again or experienced what it tastes like now. I think that would be kind of cool. I may still probably get a pound of it, roast it up a little bit here and there, and give you my new first impressions of what I think about the coffee. But if you don't try the coffee, you're not missing out. This is not a dig towards the coffee, as I've said already, but it is what it is. You can get excitement, you can get sweetness, you can get boldness, you can get smooth from many coffees that are out there. Sometimes you can get them in a single origin. Sometimes you can get them in a blend. Sometimes if you want to get a little crazy with it, you just mix them up here and there. But you can get them readily now. They're here. Are they as defectless? Probably not. Probably that's what gives them a little bit more character, a little bit more edge. Probably that's the thing that I'm thinking about as much as I'm thinking about it right now. But when I tasted the Cup of Excellence rejects a couple of months ago, those coffees were clean as hell. You can taste every single bit of the tasting notes. So I don't think I'm opposed to a perfectly, defectless coffee. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that sometimes defects gives the coffee some character. And in this case, this coffee was smooth. It had chocolate. It was what everybody should start at when drinking a specialty coffee. But it's elusive because it's so expensive. And then when you actually get it, then you're wondering what really is the appealing factor of it. What really gets you to move to want to get it again. I would say this, if that price was a lot cheaper, I probably entertain it a little bit more. Kind of like getting a geisha or even a co-ferment from time to time, even though that's not my cup of tea, my jam. But it was a little bit cheaper, a little bit more approachable in the price range. I would probably get it a little bit more often. But sometimes price does put you off on things. But then when you're really honest with yourself and when you're thinking about the things that you decide to put in your mouth, pause. But you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about coffee here. Is that it kind of stops you sometimes. But in this case, if the coffee isn't that much more exciting that gets you out of the bed to really truly enjoy it for what it is, besides the price, is that necessarily a problem? No, not really. It's just like with people, their personalities, they're things that we just go through and experience and try to understand as much as we can. And then eventually we just move on, right? That's what this Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee has done for me. That's why I really don't talk about it until right now because it was good. It was really good. And it was smooth. It was everything that the bag said it was. But it didn't have any personality. It really didn't have a soul. It was like tight knit. It was a perfect gentleman. It was a coffee that presented itself on its P's and Q's all the time. So even if you shouted at it or try to get it off its comfort zone, it wasn't possible. It was straight and narrow, answer the questions perfectly, then give you a little bit more than what you asked for. And that was it, you know? So smooth, but boring. I think that's the reason why I haven't really touched that coffee again. It wasn't interesting enough for me to come back to. And the price didn't really help out its cause. So that's my Blue Mountain Jamaican coffee story. Have you tasted it? Have you enjoyed it? Have you gotten those notes that I've talked about? Do you feel that it's that one hit wonder? Or is it just too expensive for you? And you never really gave it a shot? Talk to you later. Bye.